Hey y'all, it's Andrea with The Cutest Little Thing. Thanks so much for hopping on to watch today's video. If you are new to my channel, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you like what you see today. And if you've hung out with me before, welcome back. If you love thrift flips, home decor, DIYs, upcycling, and all of the things, then you are at the right place. I love to go thrifting and bring those unwanted items home and make them over and give them new life. All right, let's get started with today's projects. Hey y'all, it's Andrea with The Cutest Little Thing. Thanks for hopping on to watch today's video. For our first project, I have this little mini wooden stool, wooden bench that I thrifted sometime back. It's been in my stash for a little bit. I knew I wanted to use milk paint on this piece. I'm going in with Sweet Pickins milk paint in the color Window Pane. And if you've never used milk paint before, it comes in a powder form. You use equal parts of the powder to water ratio. You want to mix that really well. And while that's sitting a few minutes, you do want to let it sit to thicken up just a tad. I'm going in with Waverly's color Dusk, and Waverly is a chalk paint. And what it is with milk paint, as you know, you get that chippy goodness effect with it. Well, on the underneath of that, I want you to be able to see this pretty blue color here that I'm using right now. So I'm just giving this a quick coat of the dusk color. It's a beautiful, I see hints of gray, blue, and even green. Comment and let me know what color you see in this Waverly chalk paint. I didn't even do full coverage, as you can see. I just wanted it kind of random wherever that milk paint chips. I want you to be able to see the blue and also even see some of those wood tones. And to seal this in, I'm going in with Big Top. Waverly does not have a built-in sealer, so it was important that I sealed it because I want that color to stay on there because I may wet distress my milk paint. And where it chips, I want that blue color to stay on there. So now we're ready to go in with our milk paint. And I'm just giving that a good first coat. Now with this, I'm going in with a full coat. I have been loving using milk paint lately. Let me know if you've tried it and what you think. Now I'm going in and drying that first coat because with milk paint, usually the magic happens when you apply heat, and you also tend to get more chipping the more layering you do. So here I am layering on a second coat after I dried the first coat with my blow dryer. And I'm just getting that second coat applied really well. As you can see, it's definitely getting better coverage with that second coat. And again, going in with my blow dryer, giving that second coat a good dry. I was beginning to see some crackling here and there, although I weren't getting a whole lot of chipping. So I wanted to go in with a coarse sandpaper. So I'm using this 80 grit sandpaper to scuff up and hopefully help any chipping action happen. And to also just distress it, giving it a distress look. I was going in light-handed. Even though this was a very coarse piece of sandpaper, I was still not bearing down very hard because I did not want to remove the blue paint that we put on for our first coat. Now, in some places, I was okay with it removing it because, like I said, I wanted to be able to see some pretty blue popping through as well as some of that raw wood tone. And I was heavier on the edges, scuffing up that paint pretty good so that raw wood would peek out at me. And there you can see that really well, how that was starting to look. And I was really loving how it was starting to look. After that, I gave it a good wipe down and got rid of any sand dust from the piece. Now, I have these pots. I recently, well, not recently, but at one time I did paint these pots and then I antique waxed them. So I was just going to go in with that milk paint as well on these pots. If you'll hold tight with me, this project kind of comes together at the end. It's several projects all in one, but everything just kind of goes together in the end, and that was unplanned how that happened. So I was very excited how everything ended up going together. So if you'll hang tight and watch to the end, you will see. So I just got those clay pots painted. Now moving on, I had some books in my stash. I wanted to create a book stack. Some of the covers were damaged, so I went ahead and removed the covers. As you saw, I painted that spine with some gray paint, and that was also milk paint in the color zinc. That it was some I already had mixed up using it on another project, so I just used it. It was right there ready to go to paint the spines of the books. And now this beautiful image I purchased off of Etsy and printed it on my inkjet printer. And as you saw, I applied my Mod Podge matte over that top cover on the top book of the stack. And then I just pressed down this image where it would adhere to this book, and I'm going in with my heat tool just to add that heat, help out any wrinkles or creases trying to form. And got that applied, and I did apply dark wax to the spine of the books, and that's just going to seal in that milk paint and also create a beautiful antique aged look. And now I just had some lace. I wanted to tie a simple lace ribbon around the book stack and have that little bow there in the corner or on the side of the book. And I do get this lace in bulk off of Amazon. I love it. It is one of my favorites. And I just trimmed that ribbon with my scissors. And I wanted to add something cute just to sit on the book stack. So these little wood pieces I get from Dollar Tree. And I just took my X-Acto knife and kind of turned it in the center of that little wood piece and made a small little hole. And I just took a piece of eucalyptus greenery and just placed that in the hole there. But I did trim it where that stem would be small enough and narrow enough to go in that hole. And then I added a little dab of hot glue just to help hold that. And look how cute that looks just sitting on that book stack. I love it. And look how cute that book stack looks on the little stool we made over. And then I took those pots and wet distressed and added the little eggs and greenery. And look how pretty it is, just all tied together with that book stack just sitting on that little mini bench with those pots. And I just love the little eggs and the moss in there. I just absolutely love how these projects came together and are just so beautiful. Let me know what you think of these projects, guys. On to our next project. I have another wooden piece. This is a mini shelf. So how fitting, we had a mini stool or bench. Now we have a mini shelf. So as you can see, I had started painting this with milk paint, but I got ahead of myself because I remembered I wanted a base coat under the milk paint. So when that milk paint chipped, I would see the color underneath. Now, this is it's Rust-Oleum's paint in the color Kenningston. I believe. So I just went in with this. It's a beautiful, soft gray color. To me, I'm a gray person. I love gray. I think it's a great neutral color to use, and it just, most likely it's going to go with other people's decor. So it's sort of like a safe color, in my opinion, to use when you are, flipping these items for profit and for my booth and things like that. So after that gray paint dried, I went back in with that milk paint. And again, this is the Sweet Pickins milk paint, and this is the color Window Pane. And again, with milk paint, you want to mix. It comes in a powdered form, and you're going to mix equal parts of powder with water. And you only want to mix up as much as you're going to use at that time, because it doesn't, it's not something that you can keep and store for later use. So after I applied that first coat, I went in with my heat tool and began drying that first coat. And with milk paint, you want to layer up. And it seems like the more coats you layer on and then use your heat tool in between layers, the more chipping you will get. So after I applied my heat and that first coat dried, I went in with my second coat, and I'm just going over the entire piece. And after that second coat, I go in with my heat tool once again. I have noticed with milk paint, I do get less chipping on wood when I'm painting on wood. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're using milk paint. Seems like the smoother the surface, the shinier the surface, the more chipping you will get. And I even went in with a third coat on this piece because, again, I was just seeing some crackle. I was not seeing a whole lot of chipping, the chipping that I was hoping to see. So I did try a third coat and going in again with my heat tool. Still not enough chipping, so I went in again to just distress with my sandpaper here. I didn't show it, but I'm pretty sure this is 80 grit sandpaper, a piece of sandpaper. And I did just want to go around those edges pretty heavily and just show, that raw wood and just give it a very distressed look. Going into this project, I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to do with it, if I was just going to leave it as a little shelf. But of course, I decided to kind of upcycle it into something else. Instead of just a shelf, we're going to make this a cute little decor piece. So this is some chicken wire I actually had on hand. We used to have chickens years ago. So I just went out and clipped some of this chicken wire off that I had on a little pin that we used to keep our little baby chicks in. And I just clipped it right off the door, cleaned it up some. And as you saw, I just kind of hot glued it to hold it in place there. And now I'm taking this little mini terracotta pot. I love these little pots. I just stuck some moss and eggs. That little sign I just made with a little wood stick and a wooden tag, and I clipped off the end. And I stamped the word farm on there. I was using archival ink, and those little letters I just purchased off of Amazon. Those are like the little mini letters. And then I took one of those wood pieces, little wood slices from Dollar Tree, hot glued in the corner, hot glued that little pot on top of that. And then I was going to add some greenery, and I wanted to add another one of those little mini terracotta pots, and I kind of laid that one down like it had fallen over. And of course I had to have something inside of that pot, so I just finished adding my greenery while I was thinking of what I was going to add inside of that pot. I stuck some moss in there, but y'all wait for it. Look at this little chicken I had in my stash. How cute. So I hot glued him just standing there in that pot like he was, just kind of checking things out coming out of that pot. And how cute is this? I absolutely love it. Let me know what y'all think. I just love how, well, I was thinking farm because I had that chicken wire and then the eggs, and then I was so excited when I found that little chicken. How perfect did this little piece come together? I hope y'all love it as much as I do. Let me know what you think. Okay guys, here we have an old crusty frying pan. Believe it or not, I got it cleaned up. It's just that old looking. So I'm going in with Fusion's cast iron. I love this color. It has quickly become one of my favorites. So I'm giving it a good coat on the inside as well as the outside. Since that handle is black, I am not going to paint it, but when I paint the handles, I just wait and do that last so I will have something to hold on to throughout the project. Now I'm going in with my heat tool just to help that drying process and to help it dry a little bit quicker. Here I have my Mod Podge mat, and I'm just going around the side edge, all the way around that edge with a coat of that Mod Podge, as well as the back around the edge. I don't too much worry about the very back because this is going to be a hanging decor piece, so that very back we are not going to see that. I am drying the Mod Podge. Now, Fusion is an all-in-one paint. It's got the primer as well as the sealer in it. So you really don't need that extra seal in there that the Mod Podge gives. But I just like to do that as extra protection anytime I'm dealing with smooth, slick, shiny surfaces. I like to do that. And then you saw I went ahead and went with a second coat of that Fusion paint. Let that dry as well. Now we're ready to Mod Podge our image onto our pan. Now I chose this little chicken here. I want a very farmhousey theme. I mean, this decor piece is definitely farmhouse. You can't have a frying pan hanging up in your kitchen and not consider it farmhouse decor, but you can absolutely choose any image you would like. I made one of these for my mom, and I chose a bird image with pretty flowers and things in the background. So the possibilities are endless with this. You can choose from so many different images. I normally go on Etsy and find all different ones to choose from. So now I'm coating my pan with the Mod Podge, getting ready to decoupage that image onto there, and I just print my image with my regular inkjet printer. There are different ways you can seal in your ink. One way is to heat set it, use a heat tool and apply heat, and that helps that ink set. You can also spray seal it. I normally use Rust-Oleum's sealer at the very end of this project, and you can also seal with waxes, clear wax or either white or dark wax, so whichever look you are trying to achieve. I'm applying heat here just to help my image adhere to my pan and to help with any wrinkles or creases that try to create in that process. And again, I'm coating that edge with that Mod Podge once again. I do half of it, and then the other half, it's just easier that way. While that Mod Podge is still wet, I sprinkle cinnamon onto it, and as you see me doing here, I just pat it in with my finger. And now we're ready to do the other side, just applying that Mod Podge. And I do a good coat. I don't do as thin of a coat as I do when I decoupage. So you want it a bit thick where your cinnamon will kind of go in and dry within that Mod Podge. And again, I'm just patting that in with my finger. You can also slightly rub it back and forth just to help it get good and in there. And you saw me just kind of tap my pan and get off any excess cinnamon. And you don't have to do the back if you don't want to. With this one, I did just do that back edge because when it's hanging on the wall, you will be able to see, you know, the very back edge of it. But that's completely up to you because it still matches just fine with it being black on the back. Now we're ready to embellish with a bow. I just had some different ribbon here, some black and some lace. I love that lace that I get from Amazon. I will include that in the description below. And I just crisscross all of my ribbon pieces. I also had some burlap there. I just crisscross them over one another until I'm happy with the thickness of it and how it looks. And then I tie it all together with jute string. And I do like to apply just a little bit of hot glue so that ribbon won't be flapping all around everywhere. And then I have this rusty bell. I get these off of Amazon as well. And I just tie that in the middle to embellish my bow. And that just gives it even more of a farmhousey primitive look. I did decide to take this little teeny piece of floral foam and hot glue it to the handle because I did decide I wanted to add a couple of pieces of cotton, and I just stuck that cotton right into that floral foam, and then I hot glued my bow right onto that floral foam. I did decide to put a little piece of mesh over it, and I hot glued that on there just to hide that floral foam where you could not see it while it was hanging up. And look how good this turned out. I made several of these. These sell really well in my booth, so I went ahead and made a few more. And you may have caught me live when I was on Facebook that day making these. Let me know what you think of these. I have also made these in the past. You may have seen that video as well. I appreciate you watching. And let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know which of these is your favorite. And if you stick out for a little while, you will see the one I made for my mom with the bird. All right, let's take one last look at these finished products. We have our little mini bench with the birdie book stack and the terracotta pots with the eggs and greenery. I just absolutely love how all of these went together so beautifully. Next, we have our little mini shelf we turned upside down and turned it into the cutest little farmhouse decor you ever did see. And last but not least, we made our rusty crusty farmhouse pan. Perfect kitchen decor. As always, guys, thanks for watching The Cutest Little Thing. Please like, subscribe, and share around. Thank you for all of your support and for helping my channel grow. You can also follow me on Facebook and TikTok. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you on our next video.